guys are here because you want to change something, right? There's something going on in your life. There's a shift you'd like to make. There's a better way of living that you know is around the corner, and you want to experience it for yourself, too. That's often why we come to rooms like this on gorgeous days, right? You could be outside playing, but you are here. You know, from my experience, suffering is universal. We've all experienced suffering in some way. The more you read Buddhist script, the more you dive into your spiritual practice, the more you look around the world, you realize that suffering is inevitable. Hey guys, my time clock isn't on. Okay, thanks. So, but you know what else is possible? You know what else is inevitable? Besides suffering and besides hurting? Healing. Healing. And that's why you guys are here today, ultimately, because you want to learn about healing. Healing that part of yourself that's hurt. Healing that part of yourself that's wounded. In my experience, there's a difference between curing and healing. So curing is the physical body, right? But healing is the spiritual body. And when we start to have those conversations, everything is possible and everything is beautiful. Now, I learned this, as Molly said, through my mentor. My mentor is powerful. My mentor is feisty. My mentor is strong. My mentor pushes me. This mentor has taught me so much. And I never want you to meet this mentor, though some of you have met my mentor. And that mentor is cancer. Cancer has been my teacher for the past 12 years. It has absolutely changed my life, and I will say in many ways it's made it so much better. How many of you have experienced a medical diagnosis or a big trauma in your life? Pretty much the entire room. Can you relate to the idea that you can find blessings in your darkness? Yes. Absolutely, I hear in the front row. Absolutely. So I'm going to tell you my story, and then I want to give you some tips. I want to give you some basic tips that could help you become what I call the CEO of Save My Ass Technologies, Inc. I'm going to teach you how to be the CEO of your own Save My Ass wellness company. So my story starts on February 14th, 2003, on Valentine's Day. I wrote in my journal, "Happy Valentine's Day, you have cancer." I was 31 at the time. There was no history of cancer in my family, and I didn't know what to do. I had been avoiding going to the doctor for quite some time. How many of you have done that? Oh, it's just gas. Who needs to go, right? But finally, the pain got to be so bad that I knew I had to get checked out. So when I couldn't get out of bed, I called my GP, I made an appointment, my friend came over, poured me into a cab, and off I went. When he put his hands in my abdomen, he said, "Ooh, gosh, seems like it might be your gallbladder. We might have to remove that this weekend. Let's do an ultrasound. Let's see what's going on." The ultrasound nurse came into the room, and she had that funny look on her face. You know that look, right? When there's something really, really wrong and they don't want to tell you. And I asked her what she saw, and she said, "I can't say. Only the doctor can tell you that." So in walks the doctor, and he says, "You've got lesions all over your liver. And we're going to have to do a biopsy to see what's going on, and probably a full body scan to see if those tumors have spread to the rest of your body." Now, at that time, of course, I didn't want to think of cancer. That was the last thing that I wanted to think of. But when you hear that you've got dozens of tumors on your liver, of course, it's the first thing that you do think. And so I called my parents, my mom and my stepdad, and they came to town because I had to go to a liver specialist next. And I got the biopsy, and as I was waiting for the biopsy, they sent me to the transplant unit. And the liver doctor said, we can put her on a list, but we have to make sure that the tumors haven't spread, the potential cancer hasn't spread. And my parents, such wonderful people, all they want to do is help you. All parents want to do is help their children, right? They said, is there anything we could do? Could we give part of our liver? And the doctor said, well, it would have to be a match. It would have to be a match in the family, and a partial liver wouldn't do. And then my very, very wonderful mother said, how old a liver would work in transplantation? And I started to sweat a little, maybe a little pit stain happening, because I know where this is going. And the transplant doctor says, well, we've seen success in livers as old as 91 years. And she goes, huh? And I looked at my mother and I said, Mom, I know you've had a difficult time with Grandma. But this is going too far, Mother. Of course, she says, what? Nobody can ask. Nobody can ask questions here. We're just asking questions. That night I had a dream. My mom was standing over my grandmother with a pillow and a cooler. So off I go to Connecticut, waiting for the results. We decide not to kill Grandma. And I'm waiting for these results, and I curled into my childhood bed. And at night, I would bawl my face off. My parents tucking me in, at 31, tucking me in, and me allowing them to. Big deal, because I don't receive easily. Although that's an affirmation, as Louise would say. I didn't receive easily at the time. So on Valentine's Day morning, the phone rang. And I picked it up. We were sitting in my mom's little home office, and the doctor was on the other end. And he said, I've got some bad news for you. It's stage 4. It's a sarcoma. It has spread to both of your lungs. You have dozens and dozens of tumors. It's incredibly rare. There's no known treatment. And we suggest that you, unfortunately, get your affairs in order. Now, in that moment, I don't know what was harder, learning that I had a so-called terminal illness or telling my feisty mom. My mom, who had me when she was a teenager. My mom, who fought so hard to bring me into this world when my birth father had different ideas. My mom, who basically hitchhiked the night she went into labor. My wonderful mom, the women in the room will really appreciate this. I thought I would tell you this funny story, because I like to tell funny stories, so you're going to get a lot of them this lecture. When my mom was 19 and she brought me to the hospital in her belly to have me, she didn't realize that she wouldn't get her girlish figure back right away. She thought, hey, I'm going to look fantastic the second I pop this little one out. So what was in her overnight bag? What was in her overnight bag? It's like, what would be in anybody's overnight bag? A purple suede miniskirt wraparound. The mothers in the room are really laughing here. And white go-go boots. Thankfully, those nurses had safety pins because she had to pin it all the way to the edge of her, her wraparound. She put on her boots, she grabbed me, she called my grandmother from a payphone and said, it's a girl. We're coming home. I had to tell this woman about my diagnosis, and every time I tell the story, I still get emotional because it's the hardest thing I've ever done. And we cried, and I raged, and we raged. And I mention that because one of the healthiest things that you can do is cry and rage and get it out. So much of why you're here is because there's something you're squishing down. What would it feel like? What would it be like if you actually let it out? Now, you don't have to go on a jag or a tear, and you can reel yourself back in, but really making a commitment to feeling your feelings. So we did that. And then we do what women in my family do, and we do it really, really well. We mobilized. And that's when I became the CEO. I put everybody to work. People volunteered. I said, we have to go to the University of Google. We must get a degree there. Because I knew that I had to find the best doctor for this very little-known, no-cure, weird disease called epithelioid hemangioendothelioma. Too many consonants. It took me 12 years to spell it. The first doctor that I spoke to suggested a triple organ transplant. And I said, fuck that. No. We're staying. The second doctor gave me 10 years to live, and that was almost 12 years ago. He suggested radical treatments that wouldn't do anything, really, because we didn't know how fast this thing was going. What was the point of trying things that wouldn't do anything to potentially slow it down if we don't know how fast it is? And that's when I learned to put on high heels, big high heels, like these, and kick down doors. I don't like no unless I'm saying it myself. The doctor that knew the most about my shizzle was in Boston, and he wasn't taking any new patients. And I tell this story because sometimes you're going to get a no. Sometimes it's going to seem impossible. Sometimes every door is going to feel like will take a Herculean effort to open. But that doesn't stop you. That doesn't stop you. So finally, he said yes to me. I became his patient, and he said, here's the thing. We don't know how this thing is going to go. Let me be honest with you. Sometimes it's slow-moving. Sometimes it's really fast. It's aggressive. Sometimes it's slow-moving and then becomes aggressive. So what we're going to do is track you. We're going to watch and wait. We're going to let cancer make the first move. And what you're going to do is you're going to watch and live. Really live your incredible life. And I thought he had gotten into his medicinal marijuana stash. And I would like some. Because I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to take care of myself. I didn't even know what I liked and what I didn't like. I was the farthest away from understanding what my desires were, who I wanted to be when I grew up, which would be never, hopefully. But he challenged me, and I thought, if I can do anything, I can participate in my well-being. Even if this is incurable, I know that I can help myself feel better because I don't feel so good right now. I know this thing called self-care, which I used to believe was for people who liked wearing the color purple and collecting crystals and clearing their chakras of stuck stuff. I knew that that's the way I had to go. I knew that would be my prescription, self-care. Take care of Kris. How do we do it? Where do we go? Where's the first place? So many books, so many websites, even more so now than 12 years ago. So I did what I knew to do. I went to Whole Foods Market. Whole paycheck, here I come, right? And my parents were with me, and snot was coming out of my nose as I was cruising down the produce aisle, looking at vegetables. The fuck is that? I didn't realize that vegetables have expiration dates. I thought they were like a good can of Spam, but they're not. They're not. Now I know a lot of stuff. And I remember the first time that I saw kale. Some of you have heard this story before, but it bears repeating. I didn't know what was more frightening, the cancer or that weed. Now I'm going to let you in on a little secret of mine. I am a huge fan of scary movies. Any scary movie addicts out there? Yes. Now I understand that this is probably not the best thing for my adrenal glands, my endocrine system, maybe even my immune system. You spend all day taking care of yourself, winding it down, calming it down, bringing it in, getting connected, and then you blow it out at a scary movie. I want to tell you about my favorite type of scary movie. Let me show you. So, it's the girl alone in the woods, staying in an abandoned cabin. And she's manicuring her nails, talking to her friend Donna. For some reason, she's wearing white panties and a white t-shirt and nothing else. Nothing else. It's always that outfit, isn't it? Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. And she hears something. She hears something outside. So she says, "Hang on, Donna, I heard something outside. I'm going to go check it out." She opens the door. "Hello? I know you're there." Another sound. "Hello? I can hear you. I know you're there. Of course there's somebody there. Of course there's somebody there. There's a serial killer behind that tree. You need to get inside, put some pants on, grab a knife, and call the authorities. That is what you need to do. Hang up on Donna and call 911. So why am I telling you this ridiculous story? Because that's what I thought of Kale. Kale was that serial killer. Kale was that terror to me. Now here's the what. If I can improve, so can you. You see what I mean? You see where we're coming from here? And I slowly started to get to know the produce aisle, to teach myself how to cook, to buy cookbooks, to take workshops, to go to classes, to get certification programs, so much of what you guys are doing. I became that weekend warrior and then that full-time warrior. How many of you like kale now? Yeah. This is New York. This is a very healthy place. It is. You know how to make a kale salad? How many of you don't know how to make a kale salad? Okay, let's do a food demo in our imaginations. Ready? Here we go. Here's the kale. We're going to take the leaves. We're going to devein the leaves from that big spine. Just pull them right off. Okay? We do that with all of our kale. Put it in a bowl. It's washed. Did I mention that? The producers washed it before the show. Okay? Put it in the bowl. Lemon juice. A little sea salt. Now we're going to start to massage it. Massage your kale. Get intimate with your kale. It's okay. Right in there. You can do it. In your kale bowl. It's okay. Everyone's doing it these days. So it gets nice and soft, and then we're going to cut open an avocado. Boom, boom, the whole thing. Rub that in. Okay? Let's taste it. A little more salt, hold on. And there's your beautiful kale salad. It's that easy. It's that easy. But sometimes it can feel so scary, and sometimes it can seem so hard. You know, it was a very different life for me. All of that was so new. Coming from where I was coming from, I used to be an actress. What a surprise, right? Prepared me for this, that's for sure. And I did tons of TV commercials. That was basically my bread and butter, and thankfully how I had health insurance when the shizzle hit the fan and I needed it. I sold everything. Budweiser beer in 2 Super Bowls, Taco Bell, all that junk food I sold to you. Gas guzzlers, I sold you those. Chemicals, I'll give you some of that too. Anything to put the food on the table, the fast food, thank you very much. So, again, this was a very big change for me, especially because in the industry that I was in, what I was eating to stay slim, to look good in front of the camera. So it was full of processed foods, fake foods, refined foods, fat-free foods. If you want to get fat, eat fat-free foods. It is so true. But that was the big craze back then. And so for me, I had to really look at what I was consuming and say, is this contributing to my well-being or is it diminishing it? And pretty much everything I was consuming was diminishing it. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever had this experience, but I was also using food to medicate. Woo! I like when you guys make me laugh, too. We have a good time together. So I was using food to medicate because there was a lot of stuff going on in my life that wasn't very fun. I wasn't very happy underneath it all. And shockingly, it took cancer to teach me how to be happy, to teach me how to eat, how to live, who to date. Right? So I was the kind of girl that if you had a pack of cigarettes, a shot of tequila, and if you were a real asshole, I wanted to take you home forever. Women laughing, women, and some guys, what? Guys, you can probably have that experience. You've had that experience and you can relate, right? There are asshole women too, right? Yes. Gentlemen, it's not just you. It's not just you. We can be jerks. So if there was a nice guy in the room, let's say, for example, that nice guy was naked and running at me, I wouldn't see him. I might see this little bird flap on by and go, what's that? But if you were a jerk, let me tell you what. So, I like to share my dirty laundry because ultimately, the more honest and more vulnerable and more truthful we can be, the easier it is for everybody to relate to us. The people sitting on the stage are no different from you. No different. And that's the most important thing that you can remember as you spend time here with us all. Okay? So, because of this, I found myself in a food addiction, like I said a moment ago. And healing that addiction became a big focus in my life. Because I knew that if I wanted to feel better and get well, that addiction had to go. For me, I was the type of person who would take a pint of Ben & Jerry's, and the only way, some of you, have you heard me tell you this story before? Yes. She's like, oh, you're going to say that, aren't you? Yeah, I'm going to say it. The only way that I could not consume it was if I did bad things to it. So put my cigarette out in that pint of Ben & Jerry's. But you could scoop that out. I mean, you could scoop that out. Especially if no one's looking. You could scoop it. And then ultimately I realized that the only way to really annihilate the Ben and the Jerry, my nightly threesome, was to spray it with Windex. That I would not touch. I would not go and do that. That's beneath me. So what a shock when I started to feel better. How many of you have tried to change your lifestyle? Maybe you stuck with it a bit. Perhaps you've been juicing, or you've been eating more veggies, or you've been learning about an anti-inflammatory diet, which I'm going to talk about in a little while. And you actually feel better. Anybody in the room? Yep. Right on. Right on. Yes. It is the best. Yeah, I'm getting you guys excited. Wonderful. Kale got you. Gentlemen. I am married. But you can still look at the menu. Okay, you made me lose my train of thought. So I had this experience of starting to feel better, and I knew that I was on to something. And around that time, I turned on the camera. I had been making films, and as I said, I was in the entertainment business for quite some time. I turned on the camera, and I started to document my story, and I called it Crazy, Sexy Cancer. Crazy, out of the box, forward thinking, sexy, empowered, cancer teacher. I threw my pain into that project. I threw my pain into this passion. And that was a major turning point for me. So the diet and the creative outlet, and all of a sudden I started to get energy, and I started to feel vibrant, and I started to feel like I was contributing. And I looked around and I saw that there were very few resources for young women like me. Young women who were more holistic-minded, who had a really dirty personality and sense of humor. Women who weren't, on their second marriage or had put their grandkids through college. There wasn't a lot for my demographic as a young adult with cancer. And so for the next 4 years, all I did after selling my apartment to pay for my well-being and my creative passion project was focus my efforts on this work. And it's an important piece of this puzzle for you, and we'll get there in a minute, but basically, once my film came out, I sold it to the Discovery Channel, and my first book came out, and I was on Oprah, Good Morning America, Today Show, all of that. I had found myself in this position where I had ignited my own little revolution. And what surprised me was the number of people who reached out to me who didn't have cancer, who said, I like the way you're thinking. Can I hang out with you, or is that weird? Because it's okay. And that's when I realized that prevention is the best cure. Prevention is the best cure. It's the most reliable cure. And I spend every single day of my life spreading that word now. But I want to tell you something that's a very important piece of my spiritual journey. Though I was feeling better, and the cancer wasn't progressing, and I was helping other people, and I'd really made a splash, there was a part of me that was very unsatisfied. There was a part of me that felt like I was a failure. There was a part of me that was playing into my fear of not being good enough. Because at the time, the only thing I was interested in doing was curing myself. I wanted those credits to roll and the cancer to be gone. I didn't think I could stand in front of an audience like this and be interesting to anybody if I still had cancer in my body. And I was incredibly hard on myself because of it. I thought, okay, I know I'm doing all these good things for myself, and I know this is what I'm teaching, and all of it is very valid. Meditation, stress reduction, plant-based living. But I still got to be cured. It's still not enough. My life won't really begin until this shit pickle is over. Can you relate to that feeling in some way? Yeah. So I had put things on hold even though they were moving forward. I put dreams on hold even though my life was moving forward. And then about a year before my cancerversary, my 10-year, I decided something had to change. I decided that what if I live with this disease into my 90s? And this entire time, there's a part of me that's still shelved. There's a part of me that's still searching, that's still unsatisfied. What kind of life and what kind of waste would that be? And in that moment, I decided to quit. Not quit taking care of myself, not quit loving myself. Quit doing everything for cancer. Quit doing everything for weight loss. Quit doing everything for that relationship. Quit doing everything for approval. Quit doing everything to satisfy mom. Right? And over the course of that next year, that's when I feel like I was introduced to that concept that I mentioned to you earlier, that healing is a spiritual practice. And it takes space and love and connection to self and really listening to what it is that you want, that you need, that might be very different from what everybody else says they think you should do, they think you should have, they think you should be. Now here's where it gets interesting. On my 10-year anniversary, when I went in to get scanned, my tumors had shrunk. They had never shrunk before. Now, I was taking care of myself. I was doing IV vitamin C therapy for people with autoimmune issues. It's something you might want to look into. So I was doing a lot of great things. And I don't know how it happened. And I'm certainly not going to say that I did this, I caused it. But isn't it interesting? Isn't it timely that when I made that mental shift, a physical shift took place? And for me, the continued practice is not to then hold on to that outcome and continue to expect that outcome and go back to that cycle that I had found myself in. It is to absolutely surrender to uncertainty and to keep doing this for Kris and not for anything else. That is such a huge concept. If you can begin to practice that in some way every day, I guarantee you your life will open up and change. How many of you can relate to that? Yeah. Doing it for you. Not being focused on the fairy tale anymore. Listening to your soul whispers. Shifting. So I call myself a cancer thriver these days, not a survivor, a thriver. I'm thriving with this illness, and I'm thriving through life, and I want to teach you how to do the same. So next, I'm going to give you some tips so that you can become the CEO of your crazy, sexy wellness company. The first thing I want to talk about with you is slowing down and speeding up. Slowing down and speeding up. What does that mean? Some of you in the room need to slow down. You really do. You're coming to places like this, you're filling the well, you're doing your best, but you're still on a crazy treadmill. And there isn't enough space for you to really sink into your feelings, your desires, your needs, to have an open, honest dialogue with yourself and to create that connection, that friendship, that love. It's hard to make changes, and it's hard to make new plans and strategies in your life if you're booked to the minute. A show of hands, how many of you in this room are booked to the minute? Right. Is that everybody? Lift them again. Let me just look, because I feel like there's more. Yes. So you're going to see that I'm a practical gal. We're not going to get into deep science. I don't have a major breakthrough for you. What I'm saying is slow the fuck down. Your life is going by. Your life is happening in this moment, and it needs you. It needs more space and more breathing room. If you take anything from me, it's that, and you're going to make green juice. So 2 things. Now, the other half of the room, y'all need to speed up a little. Y'all need to speed up a little. And those are the folks who perhaps are afraid to put themselves out there. You're afraid to stand out, afraid to be seen, afraid to make a mistake, afraid to take a risk. When we fear risks, we miss the potential massive breakthrough. When we fear risk-taking, we fear failure, there's no way to create vision. So for those people, and how many of you are those people? Yeah. This is your year to get off of your cute tush, that cute tushy of the tushies, and really go for it. Apply yourself, push yourself a little further, because there's nothing that you can lose, absolutely nothing. Now, where these two people connect is all the underlying emotional stuff that's holding us back. That's the stuff, that's the ticket, and that's why I think ultimately y'all came here to figure out how to shift that perception, and it's as simple as shifting a perception of your worth. Because the folks who overcommit, you've forgotten your worth. The folks who undercommit, you've forgotten your worth. So whether it's through your meditation practice or tapping, you're going to learn about tapping from Nick Ortner, who is a genius, or yoga, or all of the wonderful teachers and teachings that you're going to learn here, apply that. Whatever gunk is getting in the way from slowing down and speeding up, that's your goal. And sometimes it is as simple as changing your mind. Hearing the voice, hearing the ego, and saying, no, thank you. I appreciate what you're saying. You've helped me so much, and you've gotten me this far, but I'm going to try something new. And I got this, just so you know. You can rest. Take a Valium. So the next piece I want to talk about is adding. Adding before you remove. Adding before you remove. What does that mean? I have a lot of different books here for you, 2 of which are full of recipes and dietary advice and really go deep into how to do a plant-based diet in a healthy way, how to reduce inflammation. But what I find the most is that when you start to give people this stuff, the first thing that happens is a feeling of deprivation, right? You get scared. What's going to happen? I want my Oreos. I want my cheese. You're going to take it away from me. Which is why I suggest adding the stuff that will lift you before you remove the stuff that brings you down. So what can you add? I mentioned green juice earlier. I'm a huge fan of juicing. If you're not interested in cooking vegetables, you're not interested in eating them, they still scare you like that serial killer, you can juice those bitches. You can, and you can make a green smoothie as well. You want a juice recipe? Does somebody want a juice recipe? Okay, here we go. Cucumber is your base. You could do 1 or 2 cucumbers, highly alkalizing. Lemon, also highly alkalizing. You can make a little cucumber lemonade. Kale. You 2 hotties in the front, slow it down. Okay? You can, yeah. Yeah, you can massage it. That's Dad? Because this is a multi-generational thing. So kale, celery high in minerals, and to sweeten it up, a little apple, a little pear. That is your medicine. And I would suggest that you try multiple combinations. I know you got wild taste buds, wild palates, multiple combinations until you find what works for you. You like watermelon, fantastic. You like mint, even better. But what I would suggest is that you commit to juicing or making a smoothie, I'll give you one of those recipes too, every day. Every day. Flu season comes, guess who's not going to get it? You. Fountain of youth, who wants it? You. Strong immunity, you going to have it? Yes, you are. So adding before you remove. And adding that one thing, two things, will change everything. Quick little smoothie recipe for you. And again, there's a lot of recipes in especially Crazy Sexy Kitchen. Avocado is your base. So this is something that you would use to create that creamy texture. Now, if you think it's going to taste like guacamole, it's not, friends. It's not going to taste like guacamole. But it's going to be thick and creamy and full of delicious, healthy fats. Cucumber, again, is your base, highly alkalizing. How about some banana? You want some potassium? Let's put it in. Some blueberries, a little spinach. This is loaded with fiber that's going to help your blood sugar stay stable. And when everybody else is going out for their coffee break and they're exhausted, what are you going to have? Your juice or your smoothie. Do you think that that's too hard? No? It's easy? How many of you think that's too hard? Nobody will raise their hand. You guys are frightened of me, y'all? A few people. But the vast majority of you don't think it's too hard. And I want to applaud you. And even the ones who do think it's too hard, here's what I can tell you. It all changes. Once you get comfortable, once you make it a habit, a healthy habit, it all changes. So I want to give you one more tip, and I'm going to tell you another story, okay? This is a big one. We're going to move away from food. And I know that so many of you are doing the right thing. You're doing great stuff. And I want to go a little deeper into acceptance and into the healing experience. So I'm a huge animal lover. That's one of the reasons why I don't eat animals, especially factory farmed animals. Because from birth till slaughter, it really matters how these animals are treated. And you don't need that suffering in your body. We're trying to get it out of your body. So animals have taught me just about as much as cancer has taught me. And I have a rescue dog. How many of you are rescue fans, dog lovers? Okay. So I have this wonderful rescue dog, and I wanted a second one. Because of my situation, children aren't really an option for me, so I want all the dogs in the world. My husband's getting used to this idea. So when I was ready for a second dog, I'm like torture when I want something, because I'll ask you every 30 seconds. Can we have him now? Can we have her now? Can we have him now? What about now? No? Now? How about now? And finally, I had done this long enough. You know, he's this guy in the front row with the love t-shirt. You got one like me at home, right? Okay. She's right here in the pink, love and love. So I had been asking, and finally the day came when we both agreed, and he had softened, because I travel a lot, so a lot of the care falls on my husband, Brian. He had softened, he said, we're going to get a dog. We're going to get that second dog. And I was flipping out. We go hiking up this mountain, and I am chirping just like a little cardinal, how exciting and how great everything's going to be, and isn't this spectacular, and did I say I love you, and I'm going to do really good things for you, extra things. Extra things and dirty things. I'm going to do those things because you said yes to the dog. Unfortunately, he knows I never follow through, so it doesn't do much. Yeah. So we turn this corner, and what do we see? We see this emaciated baby. He's 56 pounds in this picture, and he's actually a huge dog that had been abandoned on this mountain or had run away or had been dumped and got to this mountain that we hike up. Talk about the universe providing. Talk about putting it out there. Be careful what comes back, right? I couldn't have been happier. And in that moment, I knew this was my son. This was my boy. This is Buddy. And we slowly walked him down the mountain. And we took him home. We looked for the owner, but we couldn't find him. I didn't look that hard. My son, we took him home, and we slowly started to bring him back. He was so scared. We brought him to the emergency clinic, and they said he would be lucky to have maybe 3 days left before he would pass. His organs were starting to fail. He is normally a 100-pound dog, which is what he is now. But he was 56 pounds, as I said. Well, I show you these terrifying pictures because this boy has taught me even more about healing. He's taught me that healing happens in seasons. It happens on its own timeline. It can't be pushed. It can't be yelled at. We start to open up and blossom when we're ready. We start to trust and reach out when we're ready. And I couldn't force him to move on a faster schedule. All I could do was feed him a lot of raw meat. I would go into the butcher with a baseball hat. I need 6 pounds of ground chuck, make it fast. How many of you know who Sark is? Yeah. She sent me the most wonderful blanket for Buddy. And he slept. Sometimes what you need to do when you need to heal is sleep. And he got bedtime stories. Because sometimes you need somebody to read you a bedtime story. And that's his little sister Lola, who's very upset that he is in her bed. There's a lot of unhappiness going on right there, a lot of screaming. And over time, he started to feel better. Over time, with the food that he needed, with the rest that he needed, with the space that he needed to heal, he started to get better. Buddy is all of us. That's his glamour shot. He's a movie star. But there's more to this story that just happened for us. You see, I thought I got my fairy tale ending this time, but this time it was, with Buddy. And it was that fairy tale ending that I wanted for myself that, as I said to you earlier, took a long time for me to let go of. And as soon as we started to crest this danger zone with Buddy, we noticed that there was something else going on with him. And about 2 months ago, he was diagnosed with ALS. Now, I thought, I can't tell the Buddy story anymore. We have to end on this picture. But this is life, right? This is reality. We can't always control the mess, but we can appreciate the beauty, the complexity that is this incredible experience called life. Now, Buddy does hydrotherapy, acupuncture. He has his own healing plan right now. I'm leaving at 5:30 on the bus to get back to Buddy. I could go on and on about my dog, but I know that's not why you came. Yes, it is. I love dog lovers. You know what I can give this boy now? As I'm trying to help him stay strong, feel good, and keep his legs mobile for as long as possible, because what he's destined to experience is a wheelchair for dogs, right? Until a day when Buddy isn't happy anymore. So I thought, oh my gosh, there won't be an option for me. There won't be anything I can do for my son. And that's when this piece hit home even further. We all thrive with love. Unconditional love. Every single day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, every moment in between. His medicine now is love. Your medicine for yourself is love. And a green juice. I used to think that accepting what is was giving up. Throwing in the towel, raising the white flag. And then I realized something much deeper. When we understand acceptance, it's not about quitting. It's not about accepting every circumstance in your life because you have no choice and you have to accept it, and that's frustrating. And what will happen if you do? Will you be less motivated? It's not about that. Acceptance is about not abandoning yourself. Not looking at the pieces that are so-called supposedly broken and judging them and being harsh and criticizing them. Would I ever criticize this boy for not being able to walk? No. So why would I criticize myself? When you criticize yourself next and you say something nasty to yourself that hurts you, I want you to think of Buddy. And I want you to say, would I do that to that Buddy? So why would I do it to me? I want to leave you with a prayer that I wrote for you guys. And I'm going to give away a couple of books. How's that? This is a prayer for spiritual trailblazers, and this is you. May you believe in yourself. May you play big. May you refuse to let anyone define you. May you care for yourself and see the need for you. May you rise to the challenge and then rise again. May you be courageous. May you let go of any negativity or criticism that comes your way. May you stop comparing yourself to others and start celebrating the you who is right here, right now. May you praise yourself. May you remain humble. May you explore. May you risk. May you leap even if there isn't a net. And may you shine. Your purpose, my friends, is very simple. You don't have to go find it in a book. You don't have to make the next great medical breakthrough, nonprofit. You don't have to get us to Mars. That's not your purpose. Your purpose is joy. And doing everything you can every day to experience that joy. Because the more you experience it, the more others will. Thank you so much.